Hello adventurers and welcome back to my channel. Today I am so excited because I am getting ready to hit the road, and whenever I do, I'm going to be gone for a while. And so because of that, I wanted to share something kind of special with you guys. One of the things that I have been the most excited about capturing throughout time has been the beautiful views around me. However, with my parents about to take off on their endeavors very soon, I wanted to get something to help my dad do the same thing so that he could document all of the fun times. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, my dad and my mom actually inspired my travels, and we used to go on these wonderful little amazing adventures. And my dad would carry around his big camcorder, and well, let's just say he was an OG vlogger before vlogging was a thing. But now, here we are in modern technology age, and I want to get my dad kind of able to do some different kinds of views. So I've been looking into some things, and today I have the perfect solution not only for himself as a newbie, but also maybe for you guys. Today we are unboxing the Ruko F11 Pro 2, and this is going to be a smaller size drone that's easier to use. It comes with a couple extra little things, so let's get into the box and see what's inside. Now, the nice thing about having a drone is that there are some incredible views in this amazing country of ours. And whenever you look at them at face value, they're really pretty. But in some places, the areas that allow you to fly, you can get this amazing overhead view of something spectacular. And in doing so, it can really kind of share the area with you in a lot different perspective. And so I thought, since Dad is going to be traveling more after he gets the shuttle all fixed up, that he would like to be able to capture some of those things. But learning how to drone can take a little bit of time and patience, so I thought this was a good time to start off with the Ruko so that he can start practicing before he hits the road, because he can do that just around here. Finally made a little headway though, and this came out. It's a nice little sleeve with inside there is a carrying case. But the real question is, what's inside? The Roku drone is very similar to a drone that I've used previous, and I think the size is going to be similar, and I think that this is going to be the perfect hobby size for my dad. So inside these little zippers, we're going to find out what's next. This is usually a two-hand situation. This is going to be so much fun. We have, to start off, some paperwork in the top. This is all nice and padded. There is a zipper to keep everything in here. It feels like there's a little bump in there, so there may be some other things. It also has this nice piece of additional protectant right there. And then inside, we have the drone, the controller, and something else. So we're going to start taking each one of these things out of the package. This is the actual drone. And I like that they have individually sealed each piece. Keeps dust out of it. It also keeps it all nice and together for transport. And this is what it looks like straight out of the packaging. Now, the nice thing about the F11 Pro 2 is that it has these little telescoping arms that come out. And then also, they come out for the bottom. So I need to release each one of these just to kind of get the overall size. So overall, this is the size. This feels a little bit larger than my palm. These definitely reach out quite a distance. I would say that it's probably, just guesstimating, it's probably about 12 or 13 inches in each direction. And then, of course, you have your little propellers on here for your blades. I'm assuming there are probably some additional pieces for additional blades in here. Normally, they do have some. Now, on this, it has a cover for the camera itself. This one looks like it has either some sensors or some lights on the top, and then also one on the bottom. The battery will go into the back, which means I'm going to need to charge that up before we get out and test it. So let's set this down and see what else we have. Next up is going to be our control, and it's nice and sealed up also. I do believe there's going to be some special software for this, so we'll have to figure out what that software is. I'll probably end up getting my dad to go ahead and download that onto his phone so that we can use it. This is a very substantial controller. This is big. So this is going to be a nice size. There's going to also be some little pieces that we can pop out. And whenever we pop them out, they screw in. That's how you actually operate it. So these will screw in. I'll set this nice and flat to get this all in good. But long story short, this is how you're going to maneuver. It also, of course, has protection on the screen. And then it looks as though there's a few other things up here that we'll explore a little bit more. So far, I am not seeing a book. Inside the back here, we have not one, but 2 batteries. So there's no additional blades in this one. However, let's see, I think this is going to be the charger then. And absolutely, that's what this is. This is going to be our rapid charger, which is going to help us get everything together. I think it's just this one piece over here. There it is. This is a little bit different setup than some of the other drones that I've looked into. This has the charging brick, which allows it to be faster, so you don't have to plug directly into the drone, and it doesn't have to have like a docking station, which sometimes can get a little problematic with the batteries. And so that's going to be very nice. Now, these batteries are also a little bit different than some of them I have seen, because it is a long, skinny battery like this. This is what the battery looks like. In fact, let's get a little bit closer look. This right here is our battery, and you can see it's going to give us our readout on the end as to how charged it is. It has on this side a couple connection points, and then on this side it has like a little space that it fits in like a puzzle. And so it also has an additional charging cord area, which is how we're going to charge this thing. Noticeably not present in the box, however, is the cord. So I think we're going to go into this flap, and that's where we're going to find extra pieces. There are our additional propellers, as well as the tool to change them out. We also have in here our book, which is going to be so helpful. There is this guy right here that actually is a template to let you know how to use the controller. That is super handy. I've never seen another group do that before, so that's really cool. And then inside here, it looks like, yep, there's all of our cords. So we need to get into these. Also, there's a little baggie of replacement parts, including some more of the toggles for the controller. So that is also unique. Usually they don't have that. But for now, I'm just going to get into here, and then I'll make sure that all of these are back in here for Dad. There are 2 little cords. This is going to be for our battery charging. Now, in order for this to work, all we have to do is plug in the 2 Type-Cs, and then we're going to plug these ends into the batteries. This particular side has a flip out, so we can plug it into the wall. And so I'm going to go ahead and get the batteries hooked into here, and then we'll plug this in. Okay, now those are plugged in, and they are charging. So we'll just let them keep going while we look at the rest of the contents of the box. I'm going to go ahead and put these back in here along with the other parts because we don't want to lose those. Now here comes the fun part. I have to figure out all of this. So I thought the best thing I could do is take this little template and put it over the front of it like it says, which tells us a little bit more about this. But in doing so, it kind of points you into the directions of each one of the things that are of interest on this. Now, I will say this is a fairly large size controller. It's definitely a beefy controller. Some of the controllers are quite small. This one feels like you're holding on to something, and it has these little grips on the back that make it more comfortable and soft to the touch, which is very nice. That keeps you from having a lot of slippage or anything like that. Another thing that I noticed is that you can connect this to the phone that you're going to be using, and that it has a little special tray, which actually pops out right there. So then you just put the phone in there, and then the rest is up to you navigating. So now I need to find out a little bit more about what kind of app that I'm going to have to download, or what kind of app Dad is going to have to download in order to use this. And then also, let's just go over a few of these things. Now, keep in mind, I haven't put both of the controller handles on or the levers, but it does give you a play-by-play of where everything goes. So you have a power button, you have your speed button, and they are also corresponding to the numbers down here. So this is very handy. It tells you where the joysticks are located, which is what this little guy right here is called. It also shows you right here, number 4, long press for 1 key takeoff and 1 key landing, or you can also control the joysticks and press for a short cruise control, which is really neat. You can see flying up, turning right, down, or left, and then additionally, there is a return to home button. Now, after you put your phone in here, there's another cable which I actually found also in the box. There's a couple of these so that if you have different kinds of phones, I believe it's compatible for several different ones. Dad has an iPhone, so he should be good, but we're going to check to make sure the correct cable's in here. And then after that, we should be able to kind of get this thing going. Now, this is my hope. Dad does not have a Type-C iPhone yet. He will eventually, but he hasn't upgraded yet. So I need this to have the old school iPhone connector. And it does. It has the old school lightning wire connector. It also has the Type-C connector, and then it has the Android style connector. So all three of those are covered. You can also get additional ones of these, I do believe, through their website. So if you want to get a backup, I definitely recommend always having backups for any kind of electronic equipment, just because. Trust me on this one. I've been there. I've had that issue, and it is not fun. It is not fun. For the most part, I think we have a pretty good understanding of the controller thanks to this thing. This is so handy. I wish more companies would consider doing something that is just this user-friendly. It just pops down there and shows you immediately how to maneuver. It also tells you about these little toggles, and there's a thing that you can take pictures with or that you can film with. So this is very much reminiscent of an old school video game in the way that it is handheld and the sizing of it. I won't be able to test this out until we get the batteries going though, so I'm going to do a little bit more reading, and while I do, let's take a closer look at some of the specs. First and foremost, in the paperwork, there's not only a user manual, but a flight guide and safety disclaimer. I think that it is so important for you to look through both of these, especially the flight guide and safety disclaimer. It does have a little QR code on the inside. Very much so something that will help you out. In fact, right here, you can see that. This is called rukotoy.com. This is where you can find it. You can also find them on all of their socials. It has must-know flight tips, a quick starter guide, and also a safety disclaimer in this book. And you can see everything just kind of walks you through setting up your connection, how to make it where it's compatible, also how to pair everything. And then as we continue going, they have the flight tips for short-range flight versus long-range flight. And it just keeps going on and on to give you more and more tips as to how to use this more efficiently, including right here, the app, Ruko. Now again, this is the F11 Pro 2. It weighs approximately 357 grams or 12.6 ounces. The battery capacity is 3,200 milliamp hours, and it has some really cool features on it that we're going to be able to expand upon a little bit later, including a maximum flight altitude of 397 feet. After we remove the cover for the camera, you can see what that looks like a little bit better and how it can move using all three of those axes. And on here, also another thing that I think is very interesting is it has a fixed focus range, and it can actually do a photo resolution between 5,700 and 3,200 pixels. And so that's really, really decent. Now it does use an SD card. However, that is not included in the package. So you need to purchase one of those separate. So I do need to get Dad one of those. However, this is going to be cool. This is going to be really cool. Now, of course, with the things like this little cover and other items that make it a little bit easier, I definitely think that it gives you kind of a step in the right direction right out the gate. But if you are interested in the Ruko drone, also, don't worry, there's other videos online from Ruko that tell you a little bit more about some of the tips and tricks for using some of the different modes and things like that. So I think that that's really nice also. I'm going to be giving my dad everything so he can just kind of comb through it and he can look and really understand and learn. And then after he actually gets out on the road, maybe he'll share some of his drone footage with us of some of his adventures, either on a channel of his own or just like so I can give you guys an update here and there about what Mom and Dad are up to. But for the time being, I'm going to let this all charge up. I'm going to make sure that he has the correct app downloaded on his phone. And then the next thing you know, we'll be outside testing this bad boy out. Okay, so I was just trying to figure out how to do this test flight, and Dad and I were looking at the drone setup videos that are provided by Ruko here. And normally these are super helpful, but see how it's showing that you go and connect to the Wi-Fi of Ruko Pro right here? whenever we set it up on my phone or Dad's phone, it's not coming up with this. So I like to follow through and be honest with my reviews. So we're going to continue working on this. I'm really bummed because I was hoping that this would be something super easy to just plug and play like some of the other drones that are out there. Everything is very nice. Everything is well marked, but for some reason it's just not coming up. And we tried every Wi-Fi that we have here just to make sure that it wasn't named something different at ours, and it's not working. The drone itself will lift. It will lift off the ground, but it doesn't show any picture. Okay, the goal is we need to get it into the little center hole there, and that's the data hole that gives you the access to the correct things. There's two, but only the center one apparently works correctly. It's really bright out here, but we think we figured it out. Customer support is not open on weekends, so we just watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos until we figured out that it didn't really have to connect to Wi-Fi. It just needs to connect to GPS, and GPS can connect if it can authorize through that center port. So we got it in a good test flight, just an easy little flight using my phone, but now we're trying Dad's, and we'll get this. Okay, so Dad is getting it now, and he's flying, and he's gonna have to figure out exactly how to use this thing, but here it is. Here it is.